Ram Ram, what's up? Okay, so just a bit of a rant video. Again, not really going to time this. Let's see how far we can go. I'll try to be as brief as I can. Um, of late, I have seen quite a bit of content uh, on kind of Indians shaming each other. Not really surprised, I think, because we grew up, most of us in this country grew up with parents who taught their kids by shaming them, by admonishing them, by, giving them little slaps on the back or the tush or wherever. It is no wonder that even as adults, we tend to try and replicate the same thing. On the one hand, it's awesome to see that there are so many Jagruk people, who are trying to impact some change in the country. I just want to add my humble voice to the growing uh, bouquet, let's say, of voices with their explanations of the problems of the country as well as the solutions. I would just like to give my humble perspective. I could be wrong, but here is what I know so far. There is not just one India, there are multiple Indias. There are many, many states within our country. There are many languages, many religions, many cultures, and many views of looking at life. I feel um, the proper way to change things in India, it could be anything. It could be looking for a change in the civic sense. It could be looking at for a change in the infrastructure. It could be anything. Here is my theory of change. The people who have money need to start using their bloody heads first. I want to see people who have money who are adults. I want to see people who have money who have spines and not, little crybabies who either go off and get into a whole display of wealth kind of a mindset or go off into self victimization, self pity mindset. Because here is the harsh truth. Um, most people in our country are not rich. Just, just to put that into context. And someone told me today that uh, my home state spent a crazy sum of money for an event which is not even register at the bottommost point of like the importance scale, and they spent a measly amount of money on something as important as children's education and their meals. I don't want to make this a gory video. I don't want to make this into like a name and shame kind of a video, but suffice it to say, across the board, there are a lot of problems. And the reason why I say I want to see people with money who have spines is because there is a little cycle that keeps going on somewhere at the top of the social hierarchy, which is people with money and people with power. People with power are chasing people with money so that they get money, and then when they get money, they get spend it in elections and whatever. Then they get more power, so then they make more money, and there's a whole cycle that's going on. I am not against anyone making money. Please, by all means, go make as much money as you want. Don't hurt people in the process if you can. But my point is, what are the people with money doing with that money? They're basically living a bit of stupid lives. And here is the thing. The problem with living stupid lives is that people who do not have money or who are aspiring to have money will look at those actions and mimic that stuff. It is sad. And not everyone is going to be super self aware and think for themselves and, oh, oh, this is how I want to fashion my life, etc., etc. Anyway, without making this too much into a ramble, here is what I want to say. Firstly, if your family income is 50,000 rupees and above, you are more or less actually rich in this country. I do understand that you may be having problems, you may have health issues, you may have EMIs to pay, you may have kids' schools to pay, whatever. But if you have roti, kapda, and makan, reasonably, you are rich, period. And usually, after you have roti, kapda, makan, and discounting health, I will not speak about health. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to talk about health. If you have health issues, go see a doctor. But here is my little hypothesis. If you have roti, kapda, makan, and you don't have health issues, you know what issues you have? You have mental issues. You are most likely dealing with mental health issues. And I know this will trigger a lot of people. Tough luck, Hey, if it's not me, somebody else will give you the same um, thing in a maybe sugar coated way. And, I work in an industry where I see sugar all the time, so I don't want to do sugar coating. Um, See, here's the thing, the country is made of families. India is not just 140 or 150 crore people. India is, 35, 40 crore families. Families don't come out of thin air. They are made every single day with our actions. And how we show up in our families is how the country shows up every day. And I don't want to do a name and shame here. I don't want to do a blame game kind of a thing here. So I'll try to just do like a pointing out um, that so many of us, we really need to just calm the hell down. And when I say us, I mean people like you and me who are, if you're sitting and watching this video, and there's a reason I make it only in English. I don't use vernacular because I know it takes a certain amount of social privilege to be able to understand what I'm speaking. And so if you are sitting and watching this video, you already have a very lucky life. You have a very good life. And whatever you're whining about, I can assure you that it is solvable. You will find a solution. All you need is a little bit of patience and a lot of perspective. And the more money you have, here is how I look at it. The more money you have in this country, the more you really need to take off your mental health. Because a peaceful, wealthy person is useful to the country. An idiot who has a lot of money is useless to the country. All these news items that I see about, oh, these many people have left the country, I'm nobody to judge. Everybody's situation is different. Somebody may have left because of health issues. Somebody may have left because they cannot deal with the traffic. Somebody may have left because they can't deal with the noise. And somebody left because their dream is to work in some other country. Or maybe their profession is there in that other country. And, you know, like, what we have to understand is those of us who really want to work for this country and its betterment, let us please not lose the perspective that the first place where we need to change is inside our homes. You exactly know what I'm talking about. You cannot have dictatorship in the house and be wanting democracy on the streets. I'm just going to keep quiet here until that sinks in. You cannot have dictatorship in the house and wish for democracy on the streets. India needs to first rid itself of patriarchy, needs to rid itself of blind traditions, needs to rid itself of unquestioned gender roles. Just the other day, I came across a news item that there was a father who refused to co-sign his daughter's education loan, and she got a very prestigious university abroad gave her a free seat, almost free seat. I think it was like maybe some last 10% or whatever she needed to pay some expenses, and it was a very small amount for a middle class family. It is a small amount. It's a 12 lakh rupees, but the father refused to co-sign the document because, according to him, the girl, when she graduates, she will not be a good candidate for marriage, according to him. Like his value systems. I have faith for our country. I feel if we are able to focus our youth meaningfully and away from distractions, away from politics, away from religion, we don't really need to do much. Just, I mean, look at the weird countries. Do you know what are weird countries, by the way? My prof told me this. I hope I am remembering it properly. Weird countries is Western, educated, rich, no, industrialized, rich, and democratic. WEIRD. I hope I'm doing that right. Look at what they did to get where they are. It's not a miracle. It's not an overnight thing. Even they went through a lot of things. I know a lot of people will come here and try to tell me, oh, did you know that Europeans were still living in the dark ages, and in India we have this great tradition, blah blah blah. Okay, I know that. Forget the past, focus on the present. If your neighbor knows more about your family and the problems of your family and the gossip of your family, and if they don't know about their own children's problems or their own parents' problems or their own problems, that is the problem. Weird countries give people respect and space. We are bad at doing that. Let us start doing that. It doesn't take much. I'm going to structure myself and do a continuation video to this one, but I kind of promised myself I will create some content and push it. So this is me doing that, very raw and unfiltered. So a closing thought for you is that if you have roti kapda makan and good health, you're good to go. You're good to go. You don't really have a lot to complain. Yes, go ahead and complain, but maybe go talk to a therapist. Go read a book that will help you unravel about the mind. Write down your feelings. I don't know, go figure it out. Do not sit and whine and complain, because there are people literally who are sleeping hungry as we sit here and have all these fancy intellectual conversations. I just wanted to get this out of my system, so probably not going to get more than 10-15 views any which ways, so it's fine. I think what is important is that my voice and face do go out there and sit there, because who knows, like tomorrow if I do become a politician, hopefully this will be a reminder to the internet that I have been saying the same things over and over and over for many years. So if my 60-year-old is watching, 60-year-old self is watching this, hi future 60-year-old, this is you talking about we must have democracy in the house, and only then we will have democracy on the streets. Dictatorship in the house will always mean chaos in the streets. So with that closing thought, thanks for listening to my ramble. See you in some other video. Have a nice one. Ram Ram.